Troy and Abed in the morning. So Community hit Netflix on April 1st, and I've absolutely crushed it. I hadn't seen the series before, and I had heard good things from my friends, so I threw on the first episode, and then the next, and then the next, and then I ended up watching the entire series in like 2 weeks. That show is hilarious. The thing that draws me, and I think most people to the show, is the cast and the characters they portray. All 7 of the main characters of the show were liked by fans, but this video is about one character in particular. Troy Barnes, portrayed by Donald Glover, was a former high school hero quarterback whose shoulder injury took away his football scholarship and sent him to community college. If you don't know who Donald Glover is, you may recognize him by a different name, Childish Gambino. Yes, Donald Glover is a multi-talented artist who has been involved in multiple forms of media, mostly TV, movies, and music, all successful from his trademark brand of quirkiness, charisma, and talent. And Donald Glover's success is where I got the idea for this video. You see, Troy left Community in the middle of season 5. Troy wasn't written out for story reasons. The show definitely could have continued to use the character as an influence. The real reason why Troy was written out was because, as Donald Glover was quoted saying to Vibe magazine, his heart wasn't in it anymore. Donald went on to explain that while he loved the show Community and felt it was one of the best shows on television, it wasn't his. He wanted to go and strike out on his own. He immediately pivoted the interview to explain that his new show, Atlanta, would be entirely his own creative endeavor, and that he felt it was important for him to continue creating on his own terms. Recently, the cast of Community and the showrunner Dan Harmon reunited for a Zoom call in which they performed a table read of one of the season 5 episodes of the show. After that episode, they hung around on the call, catching up and reminiscing about their experiences on the show. At one point, Yvette Jackson-Browne mentioned that something should be sent out in their group chat. Donald Glover responded by asking essentially, "Oh, there's a group chat?" The group laughed it off, and Yvette told Donald that the group figured he was too busy to be a part of their group chat. And when you think about it, that seems very understandable. Donald's been involved with Star Wars movies, multiple TV shows, and music projects over the years, and he's a father of 2, so I can only imagine just how busy his schedule actually is. But then you realize that one of the coolest and most charismatic guys in Hollywood got excluded from a group chat with his friends. And that raised the question in my mind, will success alienate you? Is success a two-sided coin where it's got all these benefits, but it's got a lot of downfalls too? Unfortunately, I think the answer to this question is that yes, success will alienate you to some extent. That's a soft answer though. There's 2 sides of this. There's the alienation that will happen as a result of the work that it takes to become successful, and then there's the alienation that will occur from the results of being successful. So the alienation that Donald Glover experienced is not the result of his coworkers shunning him for being successful. They were just used to the notion of Donald being too busy to have time for a group chat, too used to him working hard in order to get his career where it is today. When Donald left Community, at that point in his career, he was quickly becoming a very hot commodity in the real world. He had a best-selling record on his hands with Camp and was working on producing his own show, Atlanta. He had a desire to focus on other projects, and his time was becoming more valuable than Community could support. This is the first side of the process, alienation from putting in the hard work that success requires. Would he have liked to continue working with his coworkers on Community? Sure, he's openly expressed in interviews how much he values his relationships with other Community cast members, but Donald saw a window of opportunity closing that he wanted to take advantage of, and it certainly worked out for him. And then there's the alienation that comes from being successful. I can't speak about this too much for Donald Glover, considering he's a very private celebrity, but it's very easy to imagine the situation where past coworkers or even friends and family members harbor jealousy or resentment for his meteoric success. And even beyond the alienation that comes from success, you've got to realize that success creates a kind of false narrative in other people's minds. For example, if you say, let's look at the most successful person in the world, who by monetary standards would be Jeff Bezos. It's easy to think, well, Jeff Bezos doesn't have any problems. He's got all those houses and all that money, But the thing is, that's not really true. Sure, he's got a lot of money and he's got a lot of stuff, and that must be awesome, but he's also got a lot of stress from running a huge company during a pandemic, and he's getting called to speak in front of Congress, and he just went through the world's largest divorce, part of which included a globally discussed blackmail attempt. So it's easy to look at successful people and just wash all their problems away, but they've got them the same as you and I have problems. And some of those problems are the alienation they've experienced as part of the process of becoming successful and from their resulting success. You know, we always envision ourselves successful in our futures, but we rarely envision the pitfalls that will come as part of the process. Success, however you define it, whether it is by wealth, material ownership, or the quality of your relationships, is the result of a long series of decisions that you've consciously made to get to the top. At some point, you've got to realize that we can't say yes to every opportunity. You can't catch all the fish in the ocean. You've got to pick and choose your endeavors so that your time will be spent most efficiently and most beneficially for your goals. There will be decisions you make that close certain doors, so because of our natural aversion for loss, that might feel like a bad thing, but it's not. If you're making strides towards your long-term goals, you are doing the right thing. You've got to do what you can to remember that. An important part of becoming successful happily is surrounding yourself with a supportive network that wants to see you succeed, rather than a jealous network that will view your success as a negative. We saw this with the cast of Community. They're obviously very happy for Donald. They talk about his success as a positive, and nobody is deriding him for leaving the show in order to go out on his own. Remember, you can't control other people's actions, so I think unfortunately successful people will bear the brunt of their friends and family members who can't cope with the jealousy surrounding their newfound success. And just as we want our friends to support our success, you can be a good friend by supporting your friend's success. The cast of Community wasn't angry at Donald for being successful, they were supportive, and that support took the shape of trying to preserve his time by excluding him from the group chat. Does it ever feel nice to be excluded from something? For sure not, but this seems to have been well-intentioned. I have a successful friend who owns multiple properties and operates his own business apart from that. I see him once a year at most. Would I love to see him more often? Of course, he's my friend, but I know that he's hard at work most of the time, and I know that is what makes him happy. The success he experiences and will continue to experience is the byproduct of all the hard work he puts in. I'm happy and grateful for the time I get to spend with him, and I know that our time apart isn't a bad thing. It's part of the effort of creating value for himself and his family. Becoming successful takes work, and it will have some hard decisions along the way. You may not be able to attend every social event that you get invited to because you know that you've got to work instead. And that might annoy some friends, but the true friends with your best interests at heart will understand your decisions and motivation. Remember, you've got to accept the fact that committing to success means you will be selectively choosing your opportunities. This doesn't mean that you have to be mean to people, but what it does mean is that you will have to be conscious and uncompromising with your decisions to propel yourself down the path towards your goal. Success is valued because it's something not everybody has, and you're going to have to work for it. So remember that. Your upward path might not have room or time for some people, and your resulting success may make some people jealous or frustrated. But you only control your actions, so you owe it to yourself to construct the best plan possible for your success and to devote your energy to making steps down that path every day. The people who stick along for the ride will be the right ones. If you enjoyed this video, please share it with a friend who you think will find it valuable as well. Please leave me a comment down below letting me know of any times you've made a conscious decision to improve yourself, because I'm sure you don't regret it. Please destroy the like and subscribe button so that way I'll see you guys in the next one.